actually a lawyer. What do you can do it at West Virginia and Virginia law. So if you have ever anything related to incest or anything like that, he's your man. So anyway, let's open the floor to some questions. Yes, sir. We're gonna drop the physique thing for now. Yeah, let's just. Okay, next question. Like a question about diet, anything, hygiene, posing. Just open the floor. Somebody's got to get a start. Because Q&A is really, we don't have anything ready. Yes.
Stand up of this competition is the history of this organization and what your goals are.
The ANBF, we started, this is our second year. And really the reason why I wanted to do this is nobody does it right. No, I shouldn't say nobody does it right. Nobody does it perfect. There's always a lot of room for improvements. You know, either the judging is bad, the venues are bad, the lighting is bad, the backstage is bad, the length of the shows are bad. There's a lot of bad things. So after doing a million shows that I've done, I promote my 2 shows back home in New Jersey. So for 8-9 years, you know, I'm doing it for somebody else. So I figured I might as well try it on my own. So I knew I had enough contacts. It's not just me. You see a lot of organizations with just 1 or 2 people that run them, and then you got a lot of promoters that kind of like ramble on and do their own thing, and they're not overseen. They all say that they don't make money, but they make money, and the competitors are the ones that suffer. So when I came up with the idea, the first person I asked to be involved was Marc, because nobody knows how to start a business, which is basically what we did. We started a business, and so far so good. I mean, every one of our shows that we've had, people have loved them. People show up. We come back the next time, it's double the amount of people. We do different things. You know, we have, I don't know if we were there last night, we have meet and greets before the show, we have meet and greets after the show. We do things like this. We try to be more entrepreneurial. We try to really reach out to the community. We donate, last year we donated probably $6,000–7,000 to charities. We don't make money from the shows. Whatever we have left, we either buy pizza with it or we donate it. So one or the other. What else do we do that's different? Oh yeah, well the thing is too, it's not just me. I have 13 people that help me. And then I have like another 10 people that are always there to help, like Anthony, and we have people all across the country. I got connections in Florida, California, Texas now, so we're all over the place. We're trying to have shows in places where people like to go, people want to go. And, you know, like we're going to have a show in Myrtle Beach this October, and we have other shows coming up, maybe Tampa. Places where people can go. Our shows straight through format, which is different. Straight through format. Like today we started 2 and we're done by probably 6. You don't have to sit around and be here all day, 15 hours. You know, nobody likes to do that. Nobody likes to get up at 2 in the morning to eat. You know, so why not just make it a regular day? I mean, I could go on and on forever, but if you watch my YouTube videos, I go on and on forever. So if you haven't seen them, right? Waterboy? That's his new nickname, by the way, Waterboy. He wiped our foreheads when we were working out today. So if you want more information about the ANBF, you go on my YouTube page or Facebook, Instagram, all sorts of stuff. But be patient, because eventually I get to the point. She wants to know how long you guys have been competing.
Since 2007.
Yeah, I'm about 2006, and I just got my pro card last year.
I started in 2008 and turned pro in 2010.
You're young, huh? Is this your first show?
Yes.
So you're starting today? That's good. Congratulations.
It's a good show.
Anybody else? Don't be afraid. We're really not going to hurt. He might hurt you, but I won't, I promise. Is this your first show? All right, great. What's up?
Through the process then of competing for this organization, like you sign up and this happens and that happens, and you're judged by X number of people. What's this?
You want to know what the show format is? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, if someone wants to, where are they going to sign up and what's the process?
What we've done with the ANBF, we have a lot of shows that are promoted basically by the ANBF. So they're basically corporate run shows. This is run by Anthony Ferguson, so we guided, it's a sanctioned ANBF show. A lot of our shows, you'll notice they're all the same format. We try to, ANBF, because it's new, we want to keep it to a specific format. We have 14 shows this year, probably 16 we'll end up having, and 4 of them are run by separate promoters, and the rest of them are run by me and my group. So they're all run, you know, the judges come from wherever. I mean, I'm from New Jersey, he's local, Mark's from Chicago, Virginia. You know, like I have a show next month, well, in May, I have 11 judges and they're from probably 6 or 7 different states. Now, of course, that costs money to house them, but we want to make sure that we don't have the biasm that you get. You don't have the local, you know, the gym owner promoting his own show. You don't have people working out next to their clients in the show, because that happens. I mean, it happens all the time, and it's not right. Somebody works hard, they get on stage next to the boyfriend of the head judge, and, you know, they lose because of that. So that's what we're really trying to eliminate, all the bull crap that goes on. There's a lot of thinking behind who we select to have as judges. It's easy just to take 5 guys from the gym and have them, you know, and none of the judges can just show up and judge. They have to be a test judge first, sometimes twice, to make sure the scores are consistent. Now everybody's got difference of opinion of first to third, but as long as you're close, because everybody, I mean, I could look at you and say you're first, somebody could look at you and say you're fifth. You know, so it all depends on what you're looking at, and that's what we try to clarify as we go forward. Is that good? Got another question? You're only on 3. You know, oh, I like the pretty women. You can stand up too. Stand up, come on. Show me. That's all right. For 2 seconds, you'll be all right. Oh, excuse me. It's my microphone. You have to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Heather. And my question is, are you guys on the judging panel today?
Why? Does that mean you're going to treat us differently? Be nice to us? You should always be nice to people you don't know. Yes, they are the judging panel. I am not. I'm the MC. So this is your first show? Were you the one that was in the back I just talked to? No, who did I just talk to in the back? Somebody was very nervous. Yes, Mark is the head judge. They'll also be judging these 2. I'm the MC.
I'm not really a judge.
The head judge coordinates the...
I'm basically his assistant. I just call out quarter terms. I'm not voting. The only thing I can do is really break the tiebreaker. That's probably not...
To be honest, the show, it really is, it's about me and Mark.
Yes.
It's a comedy routine. You know, we're going to be down the road tonight, too, at 9 o'clock, if you want to... Right? Is it 9 o'clock?
I'll be in my underwear by 4. That's part of the show. I'm also guest host. Yes.
See, we try to make things fun. We relax, have a good time. Right, Waterboy? Anybody else? I won't make fun of you, I promise.
I don't know.
Everybody's here.
What's that?
Next show.
When are our next shows? Who? Like personally? Him? Katie, when's your next show?
Now that I got the microphone back, I'm going to compete in the DFAC Southeast States Natural at the end of May in Orlando. And of course, I'll also be at the Brick, New Jersey ANBF show, which is coming up in 2 weeks? 3 weeks. Okay, that's soon.
I actually just had full reconstruction of my...
Next June in the Musclemania universe. Musclemania is a bit of an oddball organization. There are 2 in many ways, but they have 2 very big pro shows a year. There's one in June in Miami, and there's one in November in Vegas. I turned pro at the one in Miami in 2010. I did my first pro show there in 2012, got 2nd place. So next year I think I'm going to go back and try to move up 1 spot.
Is that good? Yeah, kid.
This year I'm competing. I have a show June 21st. And then the Team Universe I'm doing, and then I'm doing the Masters Nationals in Pittsburgh in July. So I got 3 shows to get ready for.
Yes.
You guys don't cross over into any of the federations, or is it just ANBF?
Oh no, we're all pros elsewhere.
Okay.
question. I'm in Napa. He's WrestleMania.
Her question was, do we compete in the ANBF? One of the policies that we put in place, none of the officers of the ANBF can compete in our own shows because it's kind of silly when you have the president of an organization competing in their own show. It's kind of silly. We have let people, we used to have none of the rep, we have division reps. Each class has a division rep, bikini, figure, they all have their own rep to go to. We've let them, they're allowed to compete in our shows, but not like myself, obviously Mark, and John Garofano, and, well, my wife, but she doesn't compete much. But I also last year retired from natural pro shows so I could pursue, whether it's a realistic or not, a dream of getting my IFBB Pro card in the over 50 class, because I am over 50, so I might as well give it a shot. Is that good? So you need to nod and give us, okay, that was good. Thank you.
Shaving, I don't know. It's a Q&A. It's all about participation. All right, cool.
Okay, so I teach about 6 dance fitness classes a week, high impact cardio, but I'm trying to put on muscle, and I feel like because I do so much cardio, I'm not seeing any results. Do you have any advice, supplements, how many times a week I should be muscle training, or?
First of all, I'll let you guys handle the whole training thing because, you know, you're better than me at that. But I'll say what, doesn't matter how much cardio you do, you can always out-eat cardio. Cardio at the end of the day is just expelling energy. So what you gotta eat. So if you're gonna grow, you need to eat. Obviously recovery's involved, and if you're doing high-impact cardio, you might wanna scale back your weight training to a few, maybe 3 or 4 days a week rather than 5 to 6. So take into account all the volume you have in there. At the end of the day, gaining muscle is about slowly, you aim for 0.5 to 1 pound of weight gain a week. Try to make it as lean as possible, but just because you're doing cardio doesn't mean you can't gain muscle. You just gotta eat. All right, any
Yeah, I think we as women very often gravitate to a lot of cardio because we're scared of getting fat. But the reality is when you're trying to gain muscle, you have to get used to the idea that your butt is just not going to fit in your jeans. And get past that because you're going to get some muscle on you. And like he's saying, you got to out-eat the cardio. And then when you get ready for a show, if you decide to compete, it's going to fall right off you because you do so much cardio. So you know, I think it's as much mental. We hold ourselves back from allowing ourselves to get what we think is big, but really you're not getting big, you're getting muscular.
It doesn't mean you get a gallon of ice cream a day. You want to add to that? All right, so any other questions about gaining weight?
Time under tension or heavy working reps?
Time under tension or heavy working reps, Matt?
I'm a little bit of split the difference on both. I'm not a power lifter. I'm not that strong, and I don't fool myself into thinking that I'm a power lifter or that I'm particularly strong. I'm very much in the camp of everything is slow, under control, really flexing the working muscle as opposed to moving from point A to point B. And generally, a rep range is typically anywhere from 8 to 15 or even 20. And if you're doing 15 reps, just de facto, your time under tension has to be up there pretty good. So I think there's something to be said for time under tension. Depending on your own goals, whether you're training a little bit more for strength or more for hypertrophy, muscle growth, you know, would you rather compete in, and not everybody's going to compete, but if you had to compete, would you rather be a power lifter and lift heavy, or would you rather be a bodybuilder and look pretty? I would much rather be a bodybuilder and look pretty, so I'm very much, you know, 10 to 15 reps, really squeeze the muscle.
Training specificity, I think is the word, is if you want to be a strong powerlifter, be a strong powerlifter. It's hard to really combine the two and be optimal at both. But of course, strength does play a role. You want to you want to do progressive overload is what it's called. So if you do 100 pounds for 5 reps one week, you do 100 pounds for 7 reps. You know what I mean? You're either overloading by increasing weight or increasing volume or increasing reps. I think that's the main thing. So if you're a power lifter, it's a whole different ball game. You got wave loading, you got periodization. Whereas bodybuilding, I'm a simpleton. I'm not smart enough. Like, she's with NASA. I don't know that stuff, man. I just know if you lift heavy weights, you do enough volume, and you progressively overload, you're gonna make gains.
Yeah, you know, everybody has strong body parts and weak body parts. You kind of go with what you got. I mean, if you're a powerlifter, the whole purpose of powerlifting is to be as strong as you can on that one specific day that you get up on that stage. If you're a bodybuilder, it's not about being strong, but yet everybody likes to equate being strong with larger muscles, which not always is the case. But what will happen is that if you work, you know, say your shoulders, and you like to work your shoulders higher reps for whatever reason, and that's how your shoulders grow, then that's how you go. Eventually, it will grow and they will get stronger. But each muscle is independent of each other when it comes to bodybuilding. You don't want to. You just want to work that muscle to what works for you best. I mean, you can't carbon copy somebody else's program and think you're going to look the same as they look. So they are two different animals. Of course, every bodybuilder has an ego, and they want to be as strong as they can in the off season, but they're also 30, 40 pounds heavier. So of course they're going to be stronger. But when it comes time to being in show shape, we'll see how strong they are, and that's just where you need to train. You need to train specifically for what you're doing. You need to adapt it to the time frame of your schedule.
Yeah, I tried both. I actually, instead of picking one camp and going with it, when I change up my plan, I'll say, you know what, this time I'm going to do time under tension. I find variety helps me, keeps me interested, keeps my head in the game. So I'll go for a couple months and I'm working time under tension, and the next time I'm just, you know what, I'm going to work a powerlifting thing. And then I'll go through and I'm like, I'm just doing all kettlebells, you know. But for me, again, I'm figure, so it's a little bit different than these guys. But I find that the variety, because I think most of those techniques work. It's just what works for me today. So I think consistency is what matters most. Do we have any other questions? Or did that answer your question?
That was great.
Yeah. What's your advice on how to cut up without losing too much strength and muscle? Is there
Advice on how to cut up without losing too much strength and muscle.
What does it matter if you lose your strength? Who cares if you lose your strength?
Kent said, who cares if you're losing strength?
Except your head.
Except in your head. You just grab the damn mic.
You know what, when I first started doing this, 17, 18, 19 years old, I used to get so mad when I got weaker. But then it gets to a point, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're going on stage today, there are not going to be any weights on stage. No, you're going to look strong, you're going to look good, you're going to look sexy. Who cares how strong you are? And that's just part of the game. You know, it's the off season was where you want to work on your strength gains where you can, because again, it correlates to muscle size, or at least you think it does. But it's nice to be strong throughout your prep. But if you're too strong throughout your prep, then you're not lean enough. That's just the way I look at it.
And as far as not losing muscle, I think, you know, as a judge, you know, at the end of the day, at a contest like this, conditioning is key. So you got to set enough time. You know, just because you read in Flex magazine in 1998 that Cormier got ready for the Olympia in 12 weeks, you're not going to get ready in 12 weeks unless you're at 6% body fat. Give yourself enough time. I give myself 28 to 30 weeks usually. 20 weeks is the absolute minimum I'll go. Aim to lose 0.5 to 1 pound a week, even less sometimes, depending on how much. Sometimes 2, and that's in a drastic case. And don't get too fat in the off season. But my thing's always been, if you think you're lean enough, get leaner. And conditioning kills. That's what's going to win shows. If you don't have shredded glutes, in my opinion, don't get on stage. But you can, because we need competitors. But you know, as a judge and a competitor, my theory has always been, if I don't have shredded glutes, I'm not ready. And there's no way I should be on stage. So that's how I gauge it. Matt?
I kind of forgot what the question is. But anyway, how do you not lose too much? Well, if your diet's on point, you're not going to lose a lot of muscle. Biggest thing, give yourself enough time. I do 25-week prep. You know, Mark just said he does 25, 30 weeks. I'm sure you 20 weeks, 2 years. The biggest thing is you got to give yourself a big enough time frame, because if you're trying to get in stage shape in 10 or 12 weeks and you've got 30 pounds to lose, trying to lose 30 pounds in 12 weeks, you're going to have to lose muscle in there to get into any respectable stage shape. But if you give yourself 25 or 30 weeks to drop 30 pounds, then you can do it much more gradual, and you'll preserve the muscle while you're dieting. And one quote on Marc's little tangent about when you think you're lean enough, you're probably not. The famous quote from Brian Whitaker, who's one of the greatest natural pro bodybuilders walking planet Earth. His quote was, "When you think you've gotten as lean as you can absolutely humanly get, lose 10 more pounds, and then you're probably ready for the stage."
One thing too that you want to do, we should invent a bodybuilder's mirror, figure mirror. It should be from the waist down. Everybody gets out of the shower and looks at themselves in their mirror. Oh, I look good. Yeah, my abs are tight. But meanwhile, your ass is jiggling. You got no hamstrings, and your quads have no cuts. So really, you should make a mirror. That's how you gauge your leanness, by how your lower half is in shape. You can't. You're always going to be ahead of the game up top. So when your legs are cut and your butt is tight, your lower abs are in, that's when you know you're close to being ready.
I do the same thing, actually, though. You know, the other piece, I want to go back to what Marc was saying about the off season and not getting too big in the off season, so you don't have as far to go and you can go slowly. But the other piece is, I think you do have to take time to slowly rebuild your metabolism. And so what I think a lot of people tell you, hey, you know, you did this great thing, you dieted, now go out and binge, you deserve it. That's great and fine, except for what happens is you quickly gain back 10 pounds of fat, and so you're working that much harder. Whereas if you slowly reintroduce those calories, your body deals with them a little better. So what I found for me is it works better if I do a real careful reverse diet, and I'm talking, you know, maybe 100 calories per week increase. So then you're up there, you're eating a lot of food when you start, and so the fat just comes off more easily when you start cutting off. So to me, almost all gains in bodybuilding are made in the off season, be they, you know, fat loss or muscle gain. Do I sound like Lane?
That's another thing, the post-contest, I know a lot of y'all who compete are like, man, I'm gonna go eat that. You have this like list of stuff you want to eat after a show, you know, and it's like, okay, here. No, you can throw in a free meal here and there, maybe once, twice a week, but you need to make that post-show period as strict as your contest diet, or there's a lot of the body is a very fragile thing. You got edema, there's health issues. It's like yo-yo dieting, but exaggerated. So you take an unhealthy thing like competing. Look, getting down to competition levels of body fat, it's not healthy. I'm not gonna say it's healthy, but let's not make it more unhealthy by going full potato afterwards and eating a bunch of French fry. That ties in, doesn't it? So I mean, yes, exactly. So just after a show, control yourself. You know what I mean? Because when you're that lean, no, it's not this metabolic magical rebound where you're 20 pounds of pure muscle. No, it's mostly fat, But if you control it, it can be mostly muscle. Does that answer? I think we're beyond. Does anybody? That was beyond thorough. Yes. Any other questions on stuff? Yes. Mike.
All right. This might be more towards Kent because you've been competing longer, or you've been bodybuilding longer. But like, can you provide some insight on how you've been able to balance life, bodybuilding, and things in between?
So let me, who's competing for the first time today? And you felt it was everything, right? Your whole life? Everything you did was for the show, right? You can't be that way. Because you know why? Because you drive yourself crazy. You'll go crazy, you won't have any friends, your girlfriend, boyfriends will hate your guts, your parents will want to kick you out of the house. You know, and everybody's gone through that. When I was, where are you going? I'm not done yet. Excuse me. So, it's time to eat. Oh, I understand. All right, I'll see you later. So what it is, it's not your, it's part of your life. It's not your whole life. You have to balance everything out. I mean, let's be realistic. Nobody's making $1 million getting on stage. Besides you, right?
Yes.
I'm certainly not making money. So it has to be part of your life. You have to be able to, you know, you can't. I had a friend of mine that I used to train, and comes in one day all grumpy. And I'm like, well, what's the matter? He says, oh, I had a fight with my girlfriend. I said, what'd you have a fight with my girlfriend? What'd you fight about? oh, she wanted to go to the movies, and I told her I couldn't because I had to eat. And then, is there any kids here? No. Then he comes in a couple days later. He says, I'll tell you who it is later. Okay. So he comes in the next day. Oh, I had to find my girlfriend. She woke me up at 2 in the morning and wanted to fool around. I said, what'd you say? He says, oh, I got to get up at 6 to work out. And of course, I let him have it. You can never turn that down when it's offered. But, you know, that's the thing. You know, you can't put that ahead of anything. Yeah, you have your goals, but you got your work, you got your kids, you got your family. You just have to work it in. And if it becomes too much, then something's got to give. And it shouldn't be your family or your job, obviously. So you have to be able to manage it. You have to be in control. This sport is full of people that are go, 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 go. Some people are a little psycho, so it's really go, 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 go. But you have to be able to settle into what you're doing and make it realistic. I mean, I can't even tell you how many shows I've done. Yeah, I was a jerk when I was a kid because that's all I did. But now it's hard to do that when you got kids chasing you around and you got ex-wives looking for alimony, you know, all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? Real life does come into play. Where are you? Is that good? You just have to blend it in with your life. You can't. It's not all about being on stage as much as we want to make it feel that way.
Yeah, and when you start giving up booty for competing, that's really the whole point. We start training, right? I mean, seriously, it's like I want abs because then you're gonna get all the chicks, and then when you got it, you turn it. I mean, that ain't acceptable, man. Nah. By the way, my phone number, ladies. Okay, next question. Okay. Oh, good. Oh, she wants to talk about turning down booty too.
Well, because I've had to turn it down a lot when you're around. So the other thing is, a lot of people will get coaches that say you have to do 2 hours of cardio a day and your lift, so you're spending 3 hours a day in the gym. Fire that coach. I mean, that's the reality. Fire that coach if you've got that coach. And I don't usually come out that hard and say that, but you got to have a life. And it's not, no bodybuilding show is worth losing your relationships over. Now we're ready for a question.
Actually, that brings me to a topic that I went on a rant on YouTube about. If you have a coach that you're not happy with and they don't give you good advice, then you should get rid of that coach. There's too many coaches out there. There's too many good trainers and there's a lot of bad trainers. So you need to weed out the bad ones. So that's just a little tie onto that. Who else? Anybody? Yeah, we got probably time for a couple more questions. We got a competitors meeting to go to. Nobody?